Hi, Peter Richardson here from Counterpoint Research, and we're having a Counterpoint conversation with James Chen from MediaTek. So James is VP of
Product Technology Marketing.
And James has a particular interest in AI, and we're here at the Counterpoint AI 360 conference, where we've been delving into the developments within the edge device through up into the cloud and looking at different applications and the monetization of those. But James, I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about what you see as the kind of the critical applications for AI, particularly in sort of edge devices.
Well, thanks, Peter, for having me and putting on this good conference. I thoroughly enjoyed it. With respect to end user applications, I mean, there are a lot of end user applications, but I would categorize them into three major verticals, right? So, for example, the first is a very well-known vertical, and that's the smartphone.
Right.
And MediaTek really leads in that space. There's some really cool applications emerging throughout the world of using generative AI and doing inferencing really inside the phone. You don't have to have any connection to the cloud. In fact, you can cut to 5G and Wi-Fi. The second vertical we see that's about to dawn on us is in the automobile industry. And as you know, last May, we partnered with NVIDIA. We announced that partnership last May. And we are really targeting to allow AI to really enrich our experience in our relationship with the automobile. For example, a better AI assistant to understand the context of what you're doing, but more importantly, where you are on the road. Because when you're driving, that's a very important thing to do, to understand contextually what is going on around you. And obviously, better infotainment, surround you with video, sound, graphics. And last but not least, a lot of vehicular safety, right?
Right.
And the third vertical, the large one, actually something that people don't talk about a lot, which is generative AI helping in the smart home. We're looking to really add value to this space, above and beyond what Hey Siri, Hello Alexa, or Hey Google can do. Think of what generative AI can do for the home, more like Siri or Alexa on steroids, right? If you lose something in your home, generative AI will find it for you. If you're not at home, but your kids are, generative AI will provide that safety blanket, if you will, kind of monitoring your home and alerting you if it detects some anomaly, somebody knocking on the door, and things like that. So I think these are the three verticals. But like I said during the conference today, and you heard, there are way more use cases that we probably haven't even touched on that we don't know. But I'm sure that we'll come to know in the very short future.
It feels like we're kind of creating a capability with a lot of the generative AI models, and what companies like MediaTek are doing, kind of bringing those down to from the cloud to the device. So we seem to be going through this sort of period of almost like a reversal, where a lot of the investment has been in the cloud, or it still is in the cloud and the infrastructure. We're kind of going through that phase where we're now sort of switching into much more of a bringing that out to the device and getting applications out into the hands of consumers. But I mean, you mentioned across different verticals like smartphone, smart home, auto, and I think this morning you also kind of talked about wearables a little bit as well. How do you see the applications kind of working across those domains? So if I'm doing something in my home, will I be able to kind of take that knowledge, that knowledge graph that maybe I built up in the home with me as I kind of transition out into my car and then, to work?
Great question. And I would say the unequivocal answer to that is absolutely. And this is a great example of hybrid computing. So think about all the devices that we interact with on a high frequency every day that we touch. Your phone, your automobile as you drive out to work, and as you come home, you're home, right? And ideally, the generative AI should understand all of that in its rightful context. And this is where the cloud comes in, because the cloud will be the common thread that binds everything together. But the cloud has to work with inference and all these models that's running on the device that intimately knows you. But once you leave that device or use it on, in the automobile, for example, the cloud should be able to transfer that knowledge onto the automobile. So you have a seamless experience. So at MediaTek and the industry, we're looking at something called the Agentic framework. Mm-hmm. And that's a fancy way of, saying there are agents behind the scenes managing, planning, correlating different apps and different models to serve whatever request that you have, no matter where you are, right? And we believe in that. And you'll see as we go on here more and more about the Agentic framework from MediaTek across these 3 or more different verticals.
Mm. And, I think, some companies have talked about intent-based UIs. I mean, you talk about agentic frameworks. I think they're sort of along similar lines, right? So, asking the device to do something or the AI to do something for you, where you don't then have to, specifically open up a particular app,
that's right,
another app, and then try to sort of transfer data between them in some sort of clumsy way.
And also to select the right model. Right. So, for example, if I were to, let's say I want to plan a party, invite my friends over to watch a football game on a Sunday, I should be able to tell my assistant, hey, I need to buy some food for 6 people, but keep it under $300. I mean, in that 1 and 2 sentences, there's a lot of intent and contextual awareness. The job of the agentic AI is to understand that context and be able to call up different apps, like you say, but also in the future, different models, because each app will be doing slightly different things, right? You'll have an app maybe for the transport, for Uber. They have a different app for maybe ordering the food. They have a different app for managing your budget. So there are different models at play here. And the correlation between models and apps and all the other services inside the device, whether it's networking or video or whatever, that has to be a system to organize all that, and that's the agentic framework.
Okay.
It really is like an agent working on your behalf, who understands you and goes out and firms out these tasks and comes back with the result that you want. And I think this is a very watershed moment for the industry, where right now everything is app-based. Like, so we have all the different apps, but we're the agent in that case. But in the future, that will go above and beyond that.
Okay. So finally, we'll get to having a truly smart digital assistant in a sense.
Yes. Like I was saying, it's kind of like Alexa or Siri on steroids, right?
Yeah. All right. And one last question from me. I mean, if you're kind of looking forward 2-3 years, what are the things that you're expecting to see that maybe aren't really visible today?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're seeing, and this is a bit kind of techie, maybe, but I'll share it nonetheless. But we believe that the coupling between model and apps doesn't necessarily have to be there. It doesn't have to be one-to-one. There are models of various types these days, right? You have small language models, large language models. You have multimodality models. You have models that are focused on doing stuff particularly good in a particular given area. And there's nothing that says that we have to tie an app to a specific model. So in the future, we believe there will be an app ecosystem just like today, where you can download and maybe buy different apps depending on what you want. But also there will be probably an ecosystem just as vibrant for models, right? And it's up to the Agentic framework to kind of tie everything together. In other words, just like when you use your cell phone, you don't really know or care, or should it matter where the cell phone connects to and which base station. That just happens. The network does it for you. Or in the future, when you want generative AI to do something for you, the Agentic framework should go out, use the right application, pair it with the right model, produce the result back to you, because that's what you care about. That's what we think. We also think there will be a lot more applications beyond smartphones and automobile. Smart home is one example, but you see, every day almost there's more applications. So our prognostication is there's more applications. So, you got to hold on to your hat and hold on to your seat and build a framework and chip that's scalable enough to kind of handle all of these in the future, because nobody knows what's really going to really take off, right? We're in the early days.
Yeah, I think you said, this is like the internet.
That's right.
I've heard some people saying it's almost like the reinvention of fire, which may be going a bit too far.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, James, that's been great.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. This is Peter Richardson signing off from Fremont, where we're at the AI 360 conference.